Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to Do It For Yourself. So in the previous video I showed you guys some of the modifications I made to the cabinet sandblasting unit that I purchased from Harbor Freight. Most importantly, a meter valve underneath the unit so that I can get more media flow through my scat gun. Let's go ahead and put it to the test and see how well it does. All right, it's gonna be a little noise from the vacuum, but stay put. You can see the rust on here. I don't know if you can see it. This doesn't have as much rust. This has a lot of rust. I mean, what a world of a difference, guys. Look how fast I was able to clean that one little section just by putting a metering valve underneath the unit, giving me enough media flow that I need to get this done in a much faster fashion. That's incredible. If you, just a second, just do a little bit more. I'm not getting any stuttering of the gun. Wow, this is incredible. I did that. That's crazy. Crazy, crazy fast. coming out of the gun. Sorry for the noise. All right. Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to pull this out and we're going to look at the end result. Hey guys, so let's go ahead and look at the end result of that blasting we did on that hitch. Remember how rusty it was inside the cabinet? Now, some of these darker spots that you see here is simply just mill scale. I don't really mind that too much. That's not gonna make or break my deal with this thing, but that's the way it looks. Now, if you remember what the rust was on it before, then you get an idea. Let me show you. Here's another example of what I've done. Here's some rust on this bucket tooth, and then this is the before. I think that's too close. See? Okay. So, if you're wondering what type of media I used, in the past, I would go to Harbor Freight and buy their Harbor Freight, I think it was glass bead media. The problem is, it's so damn expensive. $50 for a bag for a 50-pound bag. I'm sorry, no, it's more than $50. It's over $60. I think like $69 for a 50-pound bag of glass bead media at Harbor Freight. I remember when it was, I think I used to pay $40 several years back, maybe less. So I was on a search for something that was as good, if not better, for just cheaper. I went online, I went to all these different places. Finally, I came across some media, sandblasting media at Tractor Supply. If you guys have a Tractor Supply where you're at, I would highly recommend the Black Diamond 50-pound blasting abrasive fine media. Get the fine, well, it depends on what you want to do. I like to use the fine media because it leaves a nice smooth finish, and actually I think in some cases it's even better than the glass bead I was using at Harbor Freight. It's very smooth, guys. And the Harbor Freight glass bead media I used was good, but it would leave kind of a rough finish, a little bit of a rough finish. It was still nice. It was still very, I mean, it served its purpose. But this does the same thing for only $13 a bag. Okay? And that's the Black Diamond. Fine. Now they have a medium and a fine. You could use the medium for everything. I think if I had used it on this rust, this mill scale, if I wanted, would come off even faster, because you could tell how it came off here, but didn't come off. I mean, I kind of touched it here, but I found that it took a little more work getting this off than it did just the rust. And I wanted to just get the rust off. And again, you don't really need the mill scale off unless you absolutely want it off. You can still paint over that. Just clean it really good with some spirits and or acetone, and you're good. Anyway, so you saw me you saw how well the media worked through the metering valve that I installed under this sandblasting unit. My gun didn't pulsate. I just kept getting the same flow, the same flow. Now I will say, as a final note in this video, which is really important, is that a lot of times I see guys selling these units on Facebook Marketplace, And the reason for that, I think a lot of the times, is because they don't have a big enough compressor to push the sandblasting unit. And the abrasive media, they don't have enough, the pressure not so much, but they don't have enough CFMs to be able to run their Harbor Freight unit, or any sandblasting cabinet for that matter. You need a fairly good size. Let me point my camera to the compressor that I have. It's just a single, I believe it's only a single stage compressor. But it fills really quick. You heard it constantly working, right? By the time I stopped and went back, it was at the same pressure it was when it started. So it's filling fairly quick. I never run out of air with this compressor, never. So if you're gonna get one of these cabinet blasters, please understand that you will need to make an initial investment on a really good compressor that has at least a 60-gallon compressor. These small ones are really nice. They got these small, really expensive ones that you can buy that have a dual phase in them and everything. But I don't know how well they can refill the tank. Let me point to my compressor so you can see what I'm talking about here. There it is there. Okay? So, that's a 60-gallon compressor with 15.6 CFMs. Your CFMs, when you buy a compressor, unfortunately, a lot of people don't look at CFMs. They see a nice compressor at Harbor Freight or Home Depot. They see that it could go up to 120 PSI or 150 PSI. But they don't keep in mind that the CFMs are the most important, one of the most important specifications in the purchase of a compressor. It's the same when you buy a pressure washer. You can buy a pressure washer that's 4,000 PSI, but if your GPMs in the pressure washer is not very good, then, if you're only getting 2 gallons a minute with a 4,000 PSI machine, your work it's going to take a lot longer for you to finish your work than if you had a 4 gallon per minute machine at 3,000 PSI. I want you to think about that, okay? Anyway, so I digress a little bit. Oh shit. Sorry about that. So, all for now. I've talked enough. I would ask that you please like the video, guys. If this has served you any good at all, feel free to share, feel free to comment, and we'll see you in the next video.